Ghosty will be joining us in a moment. He's just having himself a little break. I hope everyone's feeling good. I'm sorry about that error before where I didn't switch the screen. The problem is when I keybind the stuff in the workshop, it fucks my WoW keybindings. So I unbind them. Okay. Slightly out of breath when running around. I think my camera's moved over, so I'm going to leave it alone. Alright, so we're going to move on to our final workshop for today. It's going to be a Prot Warrior, and it's going to be Spine of Deathwing Heroic, which is so cool. I was so happy when I saw this turn up in my emails. Spine of Deathwing Heroic is one of the greatest fights ever as a Prot Warrior. It's so fucking fun. It really is. Ghosty's going to be tracking the chat for us. We're going to be sharing a monster, and everything's going to be sweet. Okay, so let me load this bad boy up.
Can't see the chat. Okay, see the chat.
Okay, let me load this up and get to a reasonable point.
It's a nice UI.
Or is it? Okay, there's our guy. We're now looking at Drex, or Dirks, I should say. Sup, Dirks? Dirks is a pretty decent tank, and he's Tauren, which instantly makes him the winner chicken dinner. Dirks is a total gangster. We really like him. Now, there's a couple of things here that are going to really irritate me that we're going to talk about as we go on. Ghost just pointed out straight away he really likes his UI. His UI is actually very clean. It's a pre-pack. I've seen this before. Those guys are all going to know that UI, I'm sure. All the balls in the chat are going to know the UI. Now, there's a couple of things here about the UI that I don't particularly like. Firstly, it's this.
What the hell is that?
That is one of the FCFS add-ons that tells you what to press next. Now,
CLC Ret.
CLC Ret. That tells you what to press next. You do not need this as a tank. You do not need this as a tank. Let me go back to the cam. You do not need this as a tank. It actually fucks you up having it as a tank a little bit. Tanking is not about precise rotations. It never has been, never will be. It's all about reaction. Instead of making things happen as a DPS, we need to be pretty precise with what we do. It's very important if we want to do key DPS. A tank's job is not that. A tank's job is not to be concerned with DPS on all occasions. Making sure you have the perfect priority as a tank isn't always the best thing. We react to changes in the environment. Very cool stuff. That's why one of the things I love about tanking, it's never the same. Every time something happens that's different, we react quickly and we react to it. What we're going to see is that Dirk's attention very often will actually be drawn to the bottom of the screen. What do I always tell you about UIs? Make sure your focus is always in the middle. Now, Dirk's might go ahead and say, I don't use it that much. That's okay. But the fact you use it at all is actually a distraction because you're thinking, oh, I can use Devastate next, and your eyes are naturally drawn towards it. It's the fact that it's always changing is also distracting. It's a very normal issue. It's fine, but I would recommend you uninstall that add-on because it's going to create some problems for you in this fight. Let's jump back into the fight. Now, as a Tauren using Noggin Fogger, I approve. I very much approve. Now, you can see his add-on is telling him what to press next, all that kind of stuff. I don't like that. I really don't. What I don't like at this point is a little bit of laziness. Now, his main tank is Simo Funico. Now, Simo Funico seems like an absolute gangster tank, I've got to be honest. I spotted Simo doing some absolute cool stuff throughout this fight. Some very cool stuff. One of the points here is that Dirks is actually going to ignore both of these amalgamations to tank them on top of this fiery grip. Now, I don't like that because he's now lost Vengeance as well. Keeping your Vengeance up is very important. It is important. You can see there, you can see on the aggro, one of the Paladins actually has aggro. They're coming over and you can see he's not pressing anything until they fly off. Now, yes, they do fly off quickly. That isn't the point. You protect your DPS as much as possible. Even in a raid, our tanking rules come back to life. We assume our DPS are fucking terrible. Our DPS in raids aren't terrible. They're DPS whores. It's a different game that plays the same rules. Just because one DPS isn't doing enough DPS and attacking the wrong targets, our raid DPS are attacking the right targets and extra targets. They're fucking crushing DPS and using Blade Flurry. Isn't that right, Ghost?
That's right, mate.
That's right. He's going to charge over. He's going to help with this. Cool. He's killing the last one. I'm not bothered about tactics. Now, Dirk's job here is to tank the corrupted bloods and create a nice wall or ball of corrupted blood for our tank Simo to drag through and then obviously get the amalgamation to 9 stacks as quickly as humanly possible. He's going to do that pretty well. Now what you'll notice is despite this lovely clean UI, he hasn't got threat plates. That does not change colour whether he's got aggro or not. Now I want to talk about this issue in a little bit more depth. Previously, before we had add-ons like threat plates, the sign of a really, truly great tank was able to recognise when they didn't have aggro on a specific mob. Don't be under the illusion that Blizzard does not expect a lot of tanks to have threat plates. This fight starts off relatively simple for the Blood tank, but in Heroic, towards the end, it becomes a fucking mess. There are literally dozens of Corrupted Bloods out there. We need to know which ones we don't have aggro on. It's impossible, even with the best trained eye in the world, to know which ones those are. It's a cool add-on. Get it. Really, really. I don't recommend a lot of add-ons, but I really recommend that. I might do a video on it. It's simple, effective, and fucking useful. So let's jump back into the gameplay. So he's got the aggro on there. Now, one of the things that's really going to get on my tits is the delay in taunts. A tank has a good tank, okay? A basic tank will hold aggro on what he needs to hold aggro. He will taunt the stuff he needs to taunt. When you want to become a great tank, you are fast, okay? I want you to think of being a great tank as being the fucking Flash. I am serious. I am dead fucking serious. You need to be super fast, especially on heroic fights. The reason I say this is when it's a fight like Spine of Deathwing Heroic, towards the end of the fight there's going to be a debuff that's raid-wide, reducing the health of every single member of the raid, including yourself. At that point, every single point of damage that people take unnecessarily can cause a wipe. The way we beat that is being fucking rapid. Super rapid. You're going to notice that Dirks is actually very delayed on his taunts by a couple of seconds. Now later in the fight we're going to see those couple of seconds lead to people, you can see there. Now let me just rewind that quickly. I just want to show you how much this delay is and how important it will be later in the fight. Watch here. Watch here. 1, 2, 3. Then we targeted it. A 3-second delay on actually taunting the Corrupted Blood. You have one job, Dirks! You have one job! Is to taunt the Corrupted Bloods as soon as they spawn. And there is really no excuse for this. In this fight, Dirks has permanent taunt via Vigilance. He also knows that Corrupted Bloods are going to be spawning. Your aggro on the main Corrupted Blood is almost irrelevant. You will passively do enough threat. You will. You need to be so fucking fast on tanking this stuff because later in the fight it's going to cause us issues. It really is. So we're tanking these away. Now, Dirks is also struggling with camera angles. You can see this is a particularly shit camera angle. We don't have a great view of this area or this area. And when this opens up and we start getting 6 and 8 of these things, we're really going to struggle to see where the Corrupted Bloods are coming from and therefore picking them up in a timely fashion. Again, you can see the delay. Then he targets it. Another 3 seconds before gaining the Corrupted Blood. He's just always looking to reposition himself. Let me tell you what happens in other guilds. Wow, I didn't want to pick that up.
No, you
the tanks in the top guilds on this fight, particularly when picking up Corrupted Bloods, never move. They never, ever move. They stand perfectly still all the time, generally near the top of the thing. What we do know is from our tank and healing basics is that every Corrupted Blood that spawns fresh is going for your healers. Every single time. Nobody's DPSing them the second they spawn in any moderate fashion. It isn't happening. They're all going for your healers. Later in the fight, you do not want them healers to be taking any damage. You need a good line of sight throughout the whole thing. So important. Remember your camera angles. Tanking, once you've got aggro, position, 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 position. All the time. Where am I stood? Is it the best position? Am I able to see everything I need to see? Every few seconds that should be going through your head while you're tanking. If you're learning to tank, always position, 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 position. Where am I? Is it the best place to be? Do I need to move in the future? No. Am I able to see everything I need to see? Really fucking key stuff, guys. And it's going to lead us to some tricky situations later in the fight. Now you're going to see that he's going to keep moving around. See, he's spinning around, doing fucking disco dancing almost, Dirks here. Dirks is going to successfully defeat this fight. These are minor changes that are going to really improve his gameplay. You can see a slight delay. What you'll notice is every time a Corrupted Blood spawns, pretty much, it hits somebody unless he has a really good time on it before he gains aggro on it. That is so much unnecessary damage throughout the course of this fight. It's a lot of unnecessary damage. A lot of unnecessary damage. Bringing it in. I just want to show you the first amalgamation DPS. You can see that Corrupted Blood there is moving over there. Luckily, the Maul has picked it up, but then you can see it's going off to Pudding Pops. Mage is getting a bit of aggro. You can see the healer camp here. And you can see those Corrupted Bloods are always getting some DPS on the healers every single time. So he's pulling back. He's got the guy. It's about to explode. Nuclear Blast is coming. Here we go. Armor exposed. Bum, bum, bum. This is a fail. This is a fail. If Dirks is not doing something terribly wrong here. I want you to understand that while I'm talking about this fight, this is a guy who's killed... he's done this stuff. I'm not berating Dirks in any way. I'm trying to give him small tips that will enhance his gameplay and ultimately lead him to being a much better, much more useful tank to his guild and any other guild should he decide to move forward, okay? These aren't, although I call them fails, these are advanced fails, okay? These are really high-level things that you should be thinking about. On this fight, these Burning Tendons need to die. It doesn't matter if you've killed this 10, 15, 20 times and you're more than comfortable with your DPS dealing with it. That's irrelevant. The fact is this fight is done faster. Everybody has a better time. Everybody gets a margarita and a can of Monster earlier, the quicker these things die. The soon as those spawn, you should be in there like a motherfucker. You should be tearing arse into that Burning Tendon, even as a tank. A pro tip here is these only need to be taunted. Your passive attacks and thunderclaps are going to hold aggro. Your DPS is burying their nuts straight into the Burning Tendon. They are really busting their fucking nuts all over the Burning Tendon. He's got Thunderclap and Rend on it. That isn't enough. What he should be doing, and what I really recommend you try and do, is he should be shockwaving those corruptions. He should be DPSing them. And more importantly, as soon as he drops a shockwave, I want to see a shattering throw all over that Burning Tendon. I'm assuming that our Feral Druid is putting up Fairy Fire for 3 stacks for the Sunder Armor. I'm assuming that's done, but make sure it's done. Get your Devastates on there. You should be tunneling more DPS into there than the Corruptions. The Corrupted Bloods right now are completely irrelevant. Just taunt them. You don't need to be facing them. Just fucking taunt them. Bring them in. Stand sideways so they're attacking you from the front. And get a load of DPS on that Burning Tendon. If I would have seen a Shockwave here and a Shattering Throw, I would have thought this tank is fucking gangster. He wouldn't have made it to the workshop. But quite frankly, there's some extra stuff here that can be done. Really good stuff that will really help him on. Right, moving on. Now you can see we're going to move further into the fight. You can see our raid is never going to be full health on this fight. And as a tank, we can really help it out. Now look at this camera angle. We can't see the Corrupted Blood spawning from up here. This camera angle is garbage for what we're trying to do. It really is. Position, position, position needs to be up all the time. Really needs to be in consideration. Skip further into the fight. Look at this position. This position is not that helpful. He's going to get the Hideous Amalgamation up there. He's so far away. The Burning Tendon is being DPS'd right now. Look how far away he is. He has absolutely no damage being dealt whatsoever to that Burning Tendon. You see the armor's exposed. Nothing is happening to that Burning Tendon from our warrior. Not a damn thing. Look at this angle. We can't help but keep shifting our position when we have our back to 2 of the spawn points. We have to keep dancing in the middle. We want a spot up here. Way up here. We want to be DPSing the tendons. We want to be telling our fucking healers to get their ass up here because the Corrupted Bloods are attacking them. The Feral Druid wants it too. He wants the amalgamation coming over here. We want all that happening. We don't want to be sat here at the back just not being as helpful. Look at all the position changing that's taking place here. Far too much movement. There's another Blood going up north. Got to backpedal it up. Got to try and taunt it. Trying to pull it into position. There's now Blood spawning over there. We're spinning around. We're trying to get the Blood back again. We're creating a death ball in a... Look at all the spinning. So much position changing and so much risk of all these mobs hitting you in the back. So much risk of that happening. Constant amounts of risk. It's just creating a really bad situation for everybody. Look at how many people have aggro at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 of the DPSs have aggro here. You might say to me, Preacher, you know what? Fuck you, right?
Pretty low, it's going to be like that.
Yeah, you might be all, Preacher, fuck you, right? Those DPSs are in the wrong. They shouldn't be DPSing those targets. No, you're in the wrong. The DPS are going to attack everything they possibly can. That rogue might need to refresh Slice and Dice. He's going to do it on those mobs. He might just want to win the meters. He's going to do it. It's going to happen. You as the tank should be ready for it, prepared for it, and working your ass off to make sure that you are the gangster tank. Every single time. Every single time. Look at all the aggro people have got here. Unnecessary healing that's having to take place constantly. The bloods are now everywhere. And now we're going to see as we go later into the fight, look at this situation here. Without threat plates, look at how many people have aggro at this point. We've got a priest and a resto druid, a resto shaman. All the healers have aggro at this point, and we don't know which mobs are fucking attacking them. We have no idea. It could be anything. It might be this one's just targeted it. It might be this corrupted blood who's certainly on the tank for some reason. The fact our feral druid's got 2 of the bloods. This is a whole world of shit that's occurring now. And these bloods are just spawning faster and faster. Look at this blood. You see this blood over here? He finally catches it after it's just meleeed somebody. You can see our resto shaman's health is just going down and down. He's having to spam heal himself. Look at his mana. Really low. He does not want to be in that situation. He still has aggro. Something is attacking our resto shaman, but in all this mess, how are we ever going to pick it out? How are we ever going to pick it out? It's just unbelievable. We need to get this fixed and we'll be in a much better shape. Our healers will have more mana. We'll just generally be overall gangster. We'll be in a supreme situation. We're now backpedaling up to corrupted bloods. We're just in a bad way here right now. Simply down to an add-on. These bloods are just going to continuously spawn. But again, these are minor fixes. They're still going to get the kill. But you can see this